Hi, I'm Ling Chow. I am the Regional 16 Chair. Do you know how many regions we have in the California Association of Realtors? 31.
That's a 32.
I represent Region 16, which is our region, plus Citrus Association. So we have 2 associations with 1 region. We go to C.A.R. meeting. C.A.R. is not your car, but it's California Association of Realtors. We go to meetings 3 times a year. We go approximately from Wednesday, sometime Tuesday, sometime Monday, depends on your committee meetings, till Saturday morning. And if you think we go there for fun and relax and vacation, you're absolutely wrong. We go there from, sometime we have meetings at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we don't end until about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And every Saturday, we have meetings starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's our last board director meeting. There's about 2,000 people attending the California Association business meeting. All the information will be at CAR.org if you guys want to check on it. And today, I would like to introduce you to our C.A.R. directors from our association. Totally, we have about 24 directors between our association and Citrus. Okay, going on to the next C.A.R. director, our very own Tom Sr. He is the California Distinguished Realtor Member, CREPAC Trustee, Professional Standard, and C.A.R. Scholarship Foundation. Welcome, Tom.
Actually, I'm about 1 inch taller. I have my shoes out there with me. By the way, he does a good job, so if any of you have come a little bit early, leave your shoes with him, get them shined, because make you look a little better for the day. And in contrast to what who's our regional chairman? Anyway, what Ling said, we did have a little fun up there. Every year our association and Citrus get together for a dinner. We just have usually just a dinner, and we go to one of the restaurants around wherever we're at. And so this year, the chairman, who was one of the members of Citrus, suggested, why don't we go and play golf, or play bowling? And I thought, well, that's not a good idea. I haven't bowled in 25 years. So we had bowling and pizza one night, and I bowled a 90. You can ask the rest of them how they did, but that was my score. My assignments in Monterey were several. I'm a CREPAC alternate trustee. I'm not a trustee. There's several trustees and there's alternates, and we step in if one of those trustees is unable to serve. And CREPAC, California Association Political Action Committee, that's an independent arm of C.A.R. And we're not under C.A.R. We are actually independent because it is political. And this is where when you pay your dues, you have $49 on there that goes to political action. Well, that's where the money goes, to CREPAC. And CREPAC and RPAC, which is national. And we are the ones who allocate how those funds are spent. And so this last year in the election, we funded 57 congressional district offices in California. There's not very many more than that. I think that's all that there are. But we funded 57. And out of the 57 that we supported, 49 of the people won. So we had a pretty good record, and that was your money in action. And always remember, even though there's no quid pro quo, when you give a congressman a nice donation, they don't forget you. And when one of your programs comes up, and our programs are always related to real estate and always for the benefit of the realtor or the homeowner, they don't forget. And we always have a great support with our congressional delegation from California. So that's what we do at CREPAC. The other thing is, I can't tell you about anything we did, because everything in the meeting, I have to sign a confidentiality clause, and we can't discuss anything. Because, we talk about these congressmen, like who's sleeping with who and all these things. Really, it's unbelievable, some of the stuff that comes to us. And we have to be, kind of discreet about it, because let's face it, Some of it is confidential, so. And there were no people sleeping with people that I heard about. But that's a potential. I'm also on the scholarship committee. Actually, Scholarship Trust. Again, it's an independent arm of C.A.R. We are, I think, 7 or 8. Yen was chairman a couple years ago. It's a group of us who sit at every quarterly meeting and decide which of the students in California are going to get scholarships, high school students going to college. And this meeting, we awarded scholarships to several students. We awarded $9,000 in scholarships to students from San Francisco City College, University of San Diego, UC Berkeley, Cerritos JC, El Camino JC, Canyon College, and Loyola University. So if any of you know any students who are studying real estate related classes, have them apply to this because they're eligible for a scholarship if they're attending either a 4-year or a 2-year college. And some of you, I'm sure, must have some relatives. We haven't had anybody from around here apply for a long time. And it's all this money's going other places, and it'd be nice if we could get some of it coming locally. Now in September, in Sacramento, when we have our legislative meeting in May, we are going to award make the awards for the real estate education scholarship. And that is where realtors, like you guys, get money back for the classes you've taken for the various designations for CRS, GRI, all the other classes. So if you are taking any of the designation courses, contact C.A.R. and submit an application, or you can call Albert. He can probably tell you how to do it. And you can, you pay $500 for a class, you possibly get your money back if it was accepted by the scholarship committee. So the big topic, and my other committee, I am regional chair for professional standards for the 16th region, and the big topic was the professional standards task force that was headed by Jim Hamilton. And I got about a 3-page here document that shows all of the task force recommendations. I was only given 5 minutes here to talk, so I'm not going to read all of that to you. But let me just hit what I saw were the highlights of the task force. It will affect all of you, or May. This is not firm yet because we're going to go back in May and kind of decide what C.A.R.'s recommendations are going to be. But the first one of them was to start a program of requiring that 3 transactions are required to get a permanent license. In other words, you will get somewhat of a temporary license. When you first apply for your license, you've got to participate in 3 transactions. This is not law, this is just a suggestion by this task force. So if any of you have any disagreement about it or any comments on it, let me know or C.A.R. and they'd be glad to know. They're also going to set up regional panels for ethics. That's, and to tell you the truth, we already have it. I don't know why it's involved in the task force, but I guess it's so they have it all over the state. But this is where groups of, like Citrus might hear some ethics complaints from here because the people here are too close to the members. And so, for example, if Vince and I get into a big argument about something, maybe it's better if somebody from Citrus hears the argument because they're a little more neutral than somebody here. So they're going to set that up. And one of the things they want to eliminate is associations using ethics treatment. In other words, if you violate an ethics, have an ethics complaint against you, and the board hears it and they fine you or do something, many boards just say, hey, come on over to our board because they're going to treat you like that. Come to our board. Well, we want to set up a system so that boards let the other boards know when you've done something bad. And if you're really one of the bad guys, you should not be able to just walk into another association as a completely brand new member. So that's one of the things. They also want your former board to send a letter of recommendation when you switch associations. So that's always really been in the past. We used to do that, and I think that's a good thing the task force wants to do. I don't know currently what the ethics violation fine maximum is. I think it's about $5,000. but they want to increase that to $15,000. So I've been on ethics panels for a long time, and we've never really awarded big awards very often anyway. So, but if there is a grievous violation, they want to be able to do it. And then there's another thing, a lot of areas, and we don't really have it around here that I know of, maybe some of you do, a lot of areas have private MLSs, and sometimes it's just little tiny groups, you know, like all the brokers in the north part of Arcadia get together and say, we got our own little group here, and we're just going to share listings, you know, and we're not going to put it in the big C.A.R. MLS. Well, that's legal to do, and people can do it, but we just want to make it so that the sellers are aware that that's not the best necessarily the best service for them, that they should be able to have access to the C.A.R. MLS or whatever MLS is the major MLS in the area. Just like to ask a question here, if you could all just think about this now. How many of you here today know an unethical agent or have been damaged by an unethical agent since you've been in business? Would you raise your hands? You sure that's all? The rest of you have all nothing but good guys? Okay. Now, how many of those who raised their hands have filed an ethics complaint against the offender? Raise your hands. 2. That's the problem. 3, 4. That is the problem, folks. You see all these problems and you don't file a complaint. If you ever want to get something resolved, file a complaint. It will be listened to. They might not be taken out in the back lot here and shot, but it's going to go on their record. They're going to have to face the group of their peers and have them tell them that they did wrong. So take the time out to file a complaint. Talk to Albert, he'll tell you how to do it. Not late. Okay. I was on several committees, but another committee I'm on is the Distinguished Realtor Awards Committee. I received that award many years ago, and I was very proud of it. It's awarded once a year to one realtor in the state of California. And so we meet and sit down and decide which realtor each year is going to do it. I've been on the committee about 10 years now. And it's amazing how fantastic some of these people are. I mean, I don't even know how I ever got it when I got it, but some of these people that just devote their entire life to helping other realtors. So we met, and of course I can't tell you about that because everything we do is secret in that meeting too. Only because for the protection of the people that are involved. The last committee I'm on, and it's not really an assigned committee, but it's one that I think is probably the most interesting to go to. Yen has been on it for several years too, and that's the California Expert Witness Committee, and this is a group of realtors who, from time to time, go to court and act as expert witnesses regarding real estate problems. Like, for example, if you have trouble and you have a lawsuit against you, and you would call on your attorney might call an expert witness to come in and say, "Oh, this is the way they should have done it." And you know, this person, you know, our member did right. He was acting in good faith, and so that's a committee. And when we meet, we have always either have a judge. I had one time one of the Supreme Court justices of California was at our meeting, gave a talk. Then other times it's regular judges or attorneys who are very active in pursuing cases against realtors. And this time we had a young lady from San Francisco who was with Coldwell Banker, but is now on her own and spends her practices in representing realtors. So that was good. And as I say, I'll vote 90 in the regional pizza dinner, and that was about it. It was cold and rainy up there. Lee and Kevin both got the flu. I think Lee's still in the hospital. I don't know. But both of them, Kevin actually went to the hospital. And so it was a nice meeting.
Thank you, Tom. Next, we'll try to be short and simple on this one. Tom Junior, the senior and junior, is in LEDGE and California Expo Advisory, MLS Policy and A.R. Director Forum. And he's also going to report for Kevin Kwong, who cannot be with us today, on forums on public policy forums and land use environment. We're going to keep it very short because the time is, we have a lot of things to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ling, and good morning again, everyone. So, as Ling mentioned and my father mentioned, we don't just go up to these meetings and horse around the whole time. We're busy nonstop. If you're doing what you're supposed to, we're in meetings throughout the entire day, sometimes well into the evening. And I'm looking forward, when we go to Sacramento, we're actually going to step it up a notch from the bowling, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Lorraine Clark and Ian Burr skydiving. Because that's what we're going to do when we go to Sacramento. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully somebody will take a video. Getting down to business, so one of my committees is the MLS Policy Committee. We had we did have one action item. It was, as I understand, the shortest meeting that we've had in some time. And the action item was that we would adopt the IDX policy to mirror the mandated NAR IDX policy. For those of you that are unfamiliar with it, it's the Internet Data Exchange Policy. If you'd like to know more about it, rather than me attempting to explain it all, it is available on both NAR's website and C.A.R.'s website. At the legislative meeting, always the most interesting topic to me. I like the political stuff, and I'm always very interested in hearing what our chief lobbyist, Alex Gabriel, has to say. If any of you have ever heard him speak, he's a wonderful speaker, very articulate, and his presentation is excellent. For those of you that don't know, we now have a supermajority in both the houses after the last election cycle. That means that we have 29 blue and 11 red in the Senate, of which 21 votes are required to pass legislation. We have 55 blue and 25 red in the state assembly, of which 41 votes are required to pass legislation. I am happy to tell you that C.A.R. is proud to work both sides of the aisle. So it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, C.A.R. is constantly working both sides of the aisle because there's bills coming from both sides that favor housing legislation and private property rights. So, that being said, the threats that C.A.R. currently sees in this legislative cycle, this legislative season, are Proposition 13. It's obviously going to be a threat with a 2/3 supermajority. However, they feel that the passage of Proposition 30 and 39 has now relieved some of the financial pressure on the state. The probability is that there's going to be no imminent major reform to Proposition 13, but more likely we will probably see them introduce some bill towards a split roll tax assessment. As was mentioned last year when we went to Sacramento, the transfer tax during a transfer of title, which would be $75 per recorded document, is likely to come back up in Sacramento. You're looking at a minimum of $225 per transaction. So last year, C.A.R. was vehemently opposed to that, and we were successful in fighting off that new legislation. But with the way that the state, the federal, state, and local governments are, they all have their hands out, so they're all looking to increase their coffers for lack of a better word, at all of our expense. The service tax initiative is likely to be brought back to the surface. Some of you may recall last year that there was proposed legislation for that to implement a 4% flat service tax across the board, eliminate the state tax, and just implement a 4% service tax across all services. So throughout a real estate transaction, you're going to end up paying an awful lot of money. People look at it on the face that that's a tax reduction, but if you really think about it, it's going to be a tax increase because you're going to get taxed on everything, and it will most definitely increase the cost of doing business as a realtor and be a big hit to the homeowners, which may cause them to think twice about selling their property. Currently, most of the bills in the House require a simple majority vote. The urgency measures and appropriation bills, however, do require a 2/3 vote, which is 27 votes in the Senate and 54 in the State Assembly. There is also now discussion in Sacramento with a supermajority to reduce the 2/3 vote on urgency measures and appropriation bills to a 55% vote for passage. I don't know, I'd have to look more into that and hear what C.A.R. has to say when we go to Sacramento to find out if we think that that's a good idea and listen to their recommendations. Some of the bills that are in the works at Sacramento, C.A.R. is looking into legislation to force lenders to disclose in REO transactions. As we all know, in an REO situation, you want to know what the problems are with the properties. The lenders all say, I don't know, I'm not required to disclose that, when in fact they may know that there's major problems. As of right now, they're not required to disclose anything. So C.A.R. is looking into proposed legislation to force them to disclose anything that they may know regarding the properties that they have in their portfolio. The staff at C.A.R. has been asked to research legislation to empower the OREA, the Office of Real Estate Appraisers, to regulate the AMCs to prevent geographic incompetence of appraisers. I'm sure probably everyone here, raise your hands if you've had issues with appraisers coming from out of the area. A guy from San Bernardino County coming into LA County that doesn't know the market, appraising a property. Just in my area alone, for instance, in the Bean Tract of Alhambra, for those of you familiar with where my office is, if the Bean Tract is the most exclusive area and most expensive area of Alhambra, you'll have appraisers. I've seen appraisers come in. One of the comps will be in the subject property will be in the Bean Tract. One comp will be in the Bean Tract, and the other comps will be maybe one down in Midwick and maybe one in the airport tract. Well, they're not comparable, and they make no adjustment for that. So we want to, or C.A.R. rather, wants to possibly implement legislation to regulate the geographic incompetence of appraisers. Another proposed legislative item that C.A.R. is looking into is publishing meeting notices in one single location. Gives their legislative people, and all legislative lobbyists for that matter, a chance to be proactive to legislation as opposed to reactionary, because they don't find out about it until the last minute. This way, everybody knows about proposed legislation that's coming down the pipe. It's all in one central area. They don't have to go to multiple places to look for it. So personally, I think that would be a good thing. As we've heard over and over again, the reorganization of the DRE we're moving under the Bureau of, we're going to be renamed to Bureau of Real Estate under the Consumer Affairs Division effective July 1st. We do have a guarantee from the governor's office that they made a deal with the governor and he's agreed to guarantee the preservation of our current DRE staff. It guarantees the retention of our recovery funds and our reserves, which is good. He's also guaranteed us that we will retain a commissioner as opposed to having a bureau chief. He has guaranteed us that the DRE legal staff will serve at the pleasure of the Bureau of Real Estate Commissioner as opposed to the pleasure of the Attorney General Office, which we also think is a good thing. Basically, this bill, we anticipate that it will pass because it's just a reiteration of what the governor has already indicated to the C.A.R. lobbyists already. He's already agreed to, and it's basically going to just codify what we already have. So that's pretty much it on the legislative front of what's going on. And then some of that stuff may not even surface in Sacramento. They may introduce other types of legislation, or they may decide to drop some of that. Things change rapidly in Sacramento. I've been asked to report on public policy for Kevin. So one of the major topics they had there was a panel of people, one of which was a local county sheriff from, I believe it was from Monterey County. There was also a practitioner, a realtor from that area that had problems with short sales and having squatters. The big thing was they were talking about squatters coming into vacant properties, be it a short sale or a standard sale. If somebody finds out that the property's vacant, squatters move in, and then you can't get them out. It's nearly impossible. You call the police won't do anything. They'll produce a fake lease. They have so many different ways to remain in the property. It's just absolutely incredible. So C.A.R. is looking into ways in conjunction with local authorities, the DA's office of each particular county, and obviously working closely with C.A.R. and trying to figure out a way to prevent that from happening and placing undue burden on property owners who, when they're either attempting to sell it or they're showing it, the agent shows up and there's people saying, "What are you doing here? This is my house. I rented the house." And the owner comes and says, "I don't know these people. I've never seen them before in your life." "Oh yes, you do. Here's my lease." And they think, "Well, this is a slam dunk. I'll call the police and the police will get him out." The police come, they say, "Can't do anything. He's got a lease. Talk to your lawyer." So obviously it ends up costing them a lot of money. So it's a big problem. And I think that will about do it for me. I'm sure everyone is tired of listening to me, so I'll turn the mic back over to Lynn. Thank you very much.
As you see, we have a lot of information for you, so be patient with us. We have 3 more people to go through. So give us your full attention for a couple, 15 more minutes maybe. Okay, next one is Lorraine Clark, and she is Global Real Estate Forum member.
Short and sweet. I'm regional rep for Land Use and Environmental Committee. The Land Use and Environmental Committee is a policy committee. Its mission is to develop C.A.R.'s land use and environmental policy. It has original jurisdiction to evaluate legislation and regulation in the following issues area as they relate to real estate, environment, land use, zoning, property rights, resources, subdivision, and development. There were no action items at this meeting. We did discuss many topics, and some of them were things that came up last year that are being looked at again. So we have not taken a stand as of yet. I'm going to report on 2 of them. A lot of them are things that you have heard in the past, we'll hear again, and I just want you to know we're going to be on top of them. One was the wetlands issues, and the State Water Resources Control Board is developing a new and aggressive wetlands regulatory and permitting program that could have significant negative impacts on public and private projects and activities throughout California. The second one is the CEQA working group. The California Environmental Quality Act has become the basis for numerous lawsuits concerning public and private projects. The goal of the CEQA working group is to pursue thoughtful policy changes that is important law that will help preserve the original intent of the environmental protection while stamping out some of the misuses. So Senator Rubio will be carrying the working group's reform legislation once they have been formulated. Other than that, a lot of these are the same issues that you've heard through Ledge and that we'll be working on. And any questions that you have, you can go on to the website and find out more about. One of the other committees that was one of my major committees was our expo, and I just want you to know that our expo this year in October will be in Long Beach. Our association will be having a bus to go to it. And one of the new things that we're going to have this year is the expo floor will actually be open on Tuesday this year. So it's going to open at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, so you have a longer time for expo for the classes. And instead of having a Tech Tuesday, we are going to have different paid classes scattered throughout the whole 4 days. Okay? I also served on several other committees that other people have reported on. So that's it, short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Next we have Margaret Shea. She's our new C.A.R. director. She's
Came out a couple weeks ago, and you know there's a lot of new feature on the zip form is coming. especially the most important one, they're going to set the connection to the MLS. So when you have a property, you're going to write an offer, you just write on your the MLS ID number, and they will pull all the information, the address, the bedroom, the square footage from the MLS, so you don't have to type into your offer form again. And I believe this is coming in February this month, so you have to watch out your email or maybe the notice on some other information they will send you. And also there's another important zip form is the video conference, and you can set up the video conference with your client if your client is out of town or even out of country, and you can still use the video conference and talk to them face to face through the computer. And also we have 2 study group formed through the standard form advisory group. Albert joined the RPA, that's your Residential Purchase Agreements Study Group, and I joined the zip form study group. So if you have any question regarding these 2 areas, you can either report direct to the C.A.R. or you feel more comfortable talk to us, you can report to Albert or me, so we can connect to the C.A.R. and tell them what's your concern and what's your suggestion. And the following is the thing they're going to come out in this April. So for those people ho use desktop version, you better remember to update the new form. There's quite a few has been changed this April. First one is the RPA, the C.A.R.PA is your Residential Purchase Agreement. The second one is the commercial, called CPA. The third one is the Commercial Lease Agreement. The fourth one is the counter offer. And other people will get impact on the counter offer. They're going to put more statement on the counter offer. They also have some discussion regarding are they going to put these mediation or arbitration on the counter offer and buy the members against that, so they won't be on the counter offer form anymore. And disclosure and consent for representation of more than one buyer or seller. So there's another form, if you have more than one buyer or seller, that's called DA. That's a new form coming out. Modification of terms, addendum to authorization and the right to sell, acquire or rent, or other agreement between principal and broker. That's called MT, it's another form. And seller property questionnaire, it's probably some modification on that. Residential listing agreement, RLA. And key safe, lockbox, addendum, and the tenant permission to access properties. And you know there's a lot of property, if tenant occupy, and they probably won't let you access to check the property. Now they have a form called KLA, so you can have some agreement with the tenant. Seller instruction to exclude listing from MLS or listing information from internet. It's called SEL. And you know nowadays there's a lot of sellers, they want to put their property on MLS. And now there's a new form you can fill out, or they don't want to put the internet, because by the agreement with the MLS and some internet software, after a couple of days you put on the MLS, they will automatically transfer the data to some software company like Zero or Realtor.com. And now you have a form you can exclude to transfer those data over. So that's most important, and they were coming in this April. So watch your, maybe the email or maybe our board will announce that change. That's all the report I have.
Thank you, Margaret. Last one, Mel Wong, Forms on Form member, local government form, regional rep, membership member. By the way, if you hear me say regional rep, means they have to come back to our meeting after all the meeting to report to our region what that particular meeting they're supposed to be regional rep. They had to report on motion, what's happening in that report, so everybody had to do a report at the end of the day at C.A.R. meeting. Here's Mel.
Good morning. I have to make it really quick. I got less than 5 minutes. Since you guys are already bored or sleeping or off to dreamland or whatever, I'm on the LGR committee. We have no action items. We did discuss a lot of things. But one of the things I want to bring up is money. That's what you're here for, money, right? So what are you guys doing with your money? Besides spending. You're spending it anyway. You're paying your $49. You guys didn't realize you're paying your $49. So that all comes back to us. Not all of it, but some of it. I wish all of it would come back. But part of that money is used to defeat harmful legislation against home ownership. For instance, we had that LA County that they wanted to double the transfer tax. Guess what? 10,000 of your dollars went to fight that from our board, along with all the other boards. So that was knocked off the calendar for now. So we don't know if they're going to bring it back or not. So now there's the water pollution thing that we're going to have to deal with. And because of your money, we have the lobbyists fighting for it. It's been tabled for now. So anyway, you're spending the money. So for all of us, we're spending an extra $148 for our funds. So we want to bring you guys to the table. That's cost of doing business. You guys don't realize it. We're doing it at no pay, at our time. So you guys elected us. So we're trying to get you guys to support us by contributing your dollars. That's where it's all going. But anyway, I'm out of here. Thanks.
In case people are wondering what Mel is talking about, it's a Realtor Action Fund that when you pay your due, there's a $49 that goes in your membership fee. So he's talking about addition 149 that we all have to pay or more. Some of our association is a Golden R, which is quite a bit, 5,000, yeah, well, 5,000 membership, isn't it? Golden R.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And there's two people in our board. Is a Golden R too. It's Lorraine and Yember. Okay, thank you, and thank you all C.A.R. Director for making a wonderful report, and that ends our report to you. Thank you very much.